Hi everybody, welcome back for another video. Today I want to talk about what is the biggest mistake that you will make in less lethal defense if you're not careful and if you don't think about it and you don't prepare and you don't train for the right situation. And it's not exactly what you might think. So let me elaborate on this a bit. Everybody knows the mistakes that we've talked about before and the mistakes that you see in a lot of the body cam videos that I show you, where people are unprepared, or they use the wrong tool for the wrong job, or they have a failure of their device and they're unable to accomplish the task. And the criminal ultimately gains an upper hand and things go bad from there. Those are not what I'm talking about. Those are things that I think with diligence and a lot of preparation and having your launcher stage, you'll be ready. What I'm talking about is the biggest mistake that I can see, and I can tell from the mentality of a lot of people in the field, and I follow the field. I'm not someone that just post a video and then I disappear, and I'm not actively watching other people's videos. I'm not actively in the groups listening and trying to take in the mindset of the group mentality and trying to understand what's going on. I want to know what's in the minds of the users out there, because for me, that's actually very informative. And I hear a lot of talk about, I use less lethal because the activation energy for me to act on a person is less. In other words, if I was carrying a firearm, I would be more hesitant to use it because of the legal concern. I would be afraid to use it because I wouldn't want to hurt someone. And I might not be willing to pull the trigger even if that person was a lethal threat to me. I might actually still not be able to use it. And that's very real, and that's very real. But the opposite is not necessarily true. So if you are justifying your use of less lethal because of that, then what happens in the situation where you think, well, I think I would be more likely to pull the trigger. I'd be more likely to act and use my tool on someone if I know it's a less lethal, and I know it's only going to just bruise them, it's going to give them a nice punch and help me get away. But I think you have to be very careful, because the biggest mistake you can make is lowering that activation energy to the point where you actually are more likely to use it in a situation where it's not warranted. And you use it and you use excessive force. In other words, there's two possibilities. One, you use it in a case where it's absolutely not required. You should not have used it. And you were willing to pull the trigger in that case because, okay, well, it's not a firearm. I'm legally, I think I'm safe here. And you find out you get charged for assault because you used a weapon on someone. And it can be a pepper spray, or it could be something that hits hard with kinetic rounds. And then now you're legally in trouble and you're responsible and you've gotten yourself in a mess. The other is that you pull your launcher and you're in a situation where there is a back and forth and you're more likely to pull the trigger. But when you pull the trigger and you get that first shot or two, you know, the adrenaline's pumping, and you maybe the person is trying to steal something from you, maybe they're attacking you. And then you cross the line, and instead of that one or two shots and you're getting away, you cross a line, and now suddenly you're using excessive force. You're continuing to fire 3, 4, 5, maybe a whole mag on someone where it was unnecessary. So every shot will be counted. Wasn't necessary. Every bruise that the person has, or every broken injury, you know, broken bone or injury, there's going to be accountability to pay for it. And so the most likely biggest mistake that a person can make, I believe, with a less lethal launcher is underestimating what it can do and using it more readily and pulling the trigger in a case where you really shouldn't. And I think you have to be prepared for both scenarios. Yes, it affords you that advantage when you need it and it's justified. But are you really justified? I hear a lot of examples of people talking about situations where, to me, it looks borderline whether it's justified or not. The person says, well, I'm going to give them a few extra shots for extra measure, or I'm going to have a hopper full and I'm going to lay into them, and they won't be getting up anytime soon. And so this kind of language is first of all, it's extremely not well thought out, and it requires a person to step back and say, am I really being logical here in my less lethal pursuits? What are my goals here? I think if we can look at it more as a distraction device, and you're really just trying to create a distraction, and that could be physical pain, chemical pain, electrical, but whatever it is, it's enough to change the mind of the person and allow you to go and get away. The goal is not to disable someone or to put them down. They don't necessarily have to be put on the ground. Pepper spray, for example, is a tool that you should use to decrease the ability of an attacker to hurt you. Doesn't mean that the attacker is not still going to be attacking, but now they have a disadvantage because their eyes are burning and they can't see well. Maybe they can or cannot open their eyes. And so they can't fight you as well, or they can't try to steal something from you. So you gain a tactical advantage, but you didn't have to necessarily debilitate them and put them on the ground. You didn't have to shoot them in the face with kinetic projectiles and put out an eye and maim someone. These are all things that will cross a line. Legally, you're creating bodily harm that is permanent in some cases, and you're just racking up the risk of you being considered the aggressor. I don't care if the person started it, but if you finish it with force that is not proportional and you exceed the amount of force needed in the eyes of the law, then you are the one that's going to be the aggressor, and you're going to be the one that's also going to be in trouble. So it's a real issue. I hear it a lot, and I see examples and I see scenarios, and I've shown quite a few of these on my channel. So if you're new to Scaredy Cat TV, go back and take a look. I've got a lot of body cams of a lot of examples, from pepper balls to beanbag rounds to various kinetic shotgun rounds, including the VKS and other pepper ball type launchers. So these things have been used by police and LEOs, and we can see how they work and how they don't work. You just never know how a person's going to respond and react. There are times when the less lethal that you choose is going to be greatly underwhelming, and you're going to be disappointed, and you could shoot an entire mag and you still would not accomplish your goal, and you're putting yourself at risk by using that. And there's other times where a single shot in the right place was more than enough for that person to bend over in pain and for you to get away. And if you continued to fire, or you did headshots and you did things that were unnecessary for that person in that situation at that time, you are creating a door for you to be in great legal jeopardy. So just be wise. Think about your use and your staging of your weapons. I'm really happy to hear lots of people carrying less lethals. I think it's a good thing. But think about your trigger discipline. Think about when you will pull the trigger, for what situation, and when you do pull the trigger, what will stop you from draining more shots and more shots. When it's a lethal situation with a firearm, you shoot until the attacker is stopped, period. With less lethal, it should be the same. You shoot, do they respond? Do you have a chance to get away? In that case, it's less of a life and death situation, because you're only going to be using it for that kind of situation. So you do have a little more leeway. And legally, they're going to say, well, after that first shot or two, he was clearly hurt. You should have got away. You should have stopped. The fact that you put 6 more shots on there and you caused X, Y, and Z injuries, that's a big problem. So real issues for real situations. This is where the rubber meets the road, folks. Just be careful, be safe, and we'll talk to you again on the next one.